Let's take a look at this 2017 Chevrolet Silverado Z71 Harley Davidson edition, courtesy of Yark Automotive Group, listed for the live market price of $30,849. The exterior color is known as Summit White, and it's finished over a cocoa dune interior, all leather through and through. You've got this cool stripe on the door, reminiscent of kind of a Dodge stripe. That's cool. We also have these really beefy fender flares that have been screwed into the fender. 4x4 badge, riding on 20-inch chrome wheels. We're also riding on Kelly Edge HT all-season tires, chrome stripes along the doors, body colored flares, built-in bed studs at the bumper, body colored bumper, hitch receiver, racing stripes. There's some blemishing, scratching, and denting there. This was involved in an accident. One owner vehicle, nonetheless. Got this chrome exhaust that's kind of starting to rust. Overall, it's a good looking truck. You can see some surface rust on the bed, on the inner fenders as well. Chrome door handles. This is a extended cab, so it's basically a crew cab that's been shortened. Chrome mirror caps. Body colored front fascia with body colored headlight trim, body colored grille with a blacked out bow tie badge. It's a handsome looking truck. It's got traditional wear and tear there, here and there. Under the hood is a 5.3 liter Ecotec 3 V8. Puts out 355 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 6-speed 6L80E. Right away, you'll notice something different. You got a K&N air intake here. This is probably good for about a 10 to 15 horsepower boost. A lot of people like to put boxes around them to trap the air in, because if you don't have a box around it or a deflector like this, you're going to get hot air coming in, and it actually decrease your power output. But I think there's a little bit of a horsepower gain there. It definitely looks cool, and you could do a lot to these 5.3s. They've been in these trucks for about the past 25 years. Definitely a robust, reliable powertrain. At the back, we have an extended box. Tailgate is easy assist down. This truck has been worked. There's also a fifth wheel gooseneck in there. You could probably tow a fifth wheel with this. Wouldn't recommend it, but you can see that this truck has been worked. There's been reminiscence of any debris in there, dirt. It just shows that it was used for what it was built to do, and that's good. We love to see it. There's some wear on the tailgate, scratches there. Traditional truck stuff, not a big deal. No big dents or anything like that. But we get into the back, the extended cab. You're sacrificing a lot of room. This is kind of the replacement for the suicide door trucks, which were also extended cabs, but they made it into a tiny four-door. I don't really understand it, but there's no legroom back here. You've got no amenities back here other than a 12-volt outlet. This is a split 60/40 leather bench seat. This is probably what it's best used for if you want to keep the seats up. And it's probably the closest thing you'll get to a single cab with more space. I don't know. It's not for me, but to each their own. Definitely cramped back here though. Same cannot be said for the cockpit, as we have plenty of space up front. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Beautiful cocoa dune color, tan and dark brown. Nice touch materials. We've got plenty of power options: power mirrors, power windows, power locks. We got memory seats, trailer brake control, four-wheel drive control, automatic light control and dimming controls for the gauge cluster and the dome lights. We've got these large climate control vents. Stalk, we've got cruise control, a heated wheel, beautiful Chevrolet bow tie badge, and controls for the center display. I like this generation better than the new generation because you don't have a scroll knob. You actually have physical soft touch buttons that can show all of our important information. We can see that we have fuel economy averaging 12.8, but the best was 25.8 miles per gallon. It proves that while active fuel management is a controversial system, it works. Over here we have the traditional big bulky column shifter, old school, cool. I love that they still have these in the new trucks. They've made them smaller in the new ones, but it makes you feel like you're doing something. Big and bulky. Here we have the heated and cooled seat controls here. I love this interior layout. It's definitely so much better than the previous generation. And honestly, it looks better than the new generation as well. The fit and finish has greatly been improved. We've got some blemishing here on the leather, some wear and tear all around a little bit. We got wireless charging right here, and we have a deep storage pocket with this tray that can be removed. Putting my GoPro box in there as an example. USB ports on that side, a deep storage cubby here, 2 cup holders and a phone slot, and a deeper storage cubby right here. USB, 12-volt outlet, 12-volt outlet, and a 115 power outlet. Well equipped and ready to go. Power pedal control, traction control, bed lights, parking sensors, and hill descent control. But you're not going to be doing any off-roading on these tires, I'll tell you that much. Chevrolet MyLink system. This is the previous generation. Audio control, phone control. We've got a navigation system. We also have OnStar chat. We'll leave it on navigation for now. Center display, analog gauges with the Z71 logo. A handsome interior. This is actually very comfortable. I love this era of GM truck interior. Usable, as we can see that we have a split clamshell glove box right there. Improved fit and finish. Nice use of materials, soft touch, almost everything. We've got some nice faux carbon fiber right there on the sides, here and here. Handsome truck. Definitely some wear and tear, but it just shows that this was used for what a truck was built to do. Thankfully, there's no serious damage either. Seats are, of course, power operated. Well equipped out the wazoo. Comfortable truck and comfortable place to be. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road for a drive. I love how Chevrolet has definitely kept this truck modern, but they still have that, make it have that old school simplistic feel with the column shifter and the naturally aspirated V8. But you still have plenty of creature comforts here. I love how GM has done such a fantastic job of keeping it this way, because if it works so well, then why change it? It doesn't have to have every possible option. It doesn't have to have, you know, radar cruise control. It doesn't have to have lane keep assist. Some people are just in it for a truck that's usable and they want to look cool. That's why you buy this. You also have the added benefit of that air intake under the hood, so it's a small horsepower gain, but you definitely feel it when you get on the gas, as we'll demonstrate here in a little bit. AC is ice cold, keeping me nice and cool on this hot summer day. Vented seats are working very well, making a little bit of noise, but who cares if it makes noise? You just want to have a cool tush, and you do. It's great. You can feel that push rod power underneath you as this thing kind of rumbles, letting you know that you have horsepower available to you. As we shall now unleash it a little bit. Let's open her up. Feel that air intake, you can hear it. Nice noise. Oh, that's great. The first thing I can notice when driving this truck though, because of these low pros, it makes for a vibration filled ride. Quite bumpy, but the leather seats keep you in your seat fine, but it is bumpier than usual. It's kind of like you're riding on mud terrains, but these are such low profile wheels, almost like you're riding on a bunch of rubber bands. And unfortunately, it's kind of the same on the highway, as we'll now demonstrate as we get on the highway here in a few seconds. But definitely can feel the vibration. That's just something you have to put up with the low pros. But of course, if you buy this truck, you want to put different wheels on it, you can make it more livable for the street. You're not going to do any type of off-roading in this thing, but nonetheless, you get to look cool. Sitting in V4 mode, AFM is doing its job. A little bit of hesitation there from that 6L80. Tad bit of hesitation, but let's get it on the highway and then see what this is like getting up to highway speed. Not a ton of body roll. Seat bolster's keeping me in okay. Glides around that corner. You can hear that air intake sucking in the air. Almost sounds like you have not only an air intake to boot, but you also have a larger throttle body. You might, I'm not really sure, but it wouldn't surprise me because these engines are incredibly sought after. Merges no problem, 355 horsepower. It's not the fastest, it's not the most torquey, it's not the most powerful, but it's tried and true American power. This is one of the best General Motors engines ever built. Hands down. Right now it quiets itself down as we're doing about 55 miles an hour, but you definitely feel that vibration mainly in the seats. It's definitely something you're going to have to get used to. It might be bothersome, but again, if you want to put different tires on this, by all means, it's going to be your truck anyway, so you can. But not the smoothest ride because of the low pros. That's the problem with low profile tires. I really wish people would stop putting low pros on trucks like this. Hear that deep grumble? That is a fantastic noise. It's fabulous. God, that's so good. It's so good. It's how a V8 should sound. It's fantastic. Getting a lot of feedback through the wheel as well, partly because of those tires, but you want feedback in a truck like this so you know what your tires are doing. We get off the highway, get on the brakes. The brakes are immediate. A little bit of vibration from those tires again, but they're immediate and they definitely work exactly how they should. No problems there. Let's see what it's like to rev. Interesting, you can't really hear it when you rev the engine, but there it goes. Right between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM, that's when it likes to suck in the air. You can definitely hear it between that point in the power band when you rev the engine, but it's kind of interesting. You don't really hear it that much. You have to be very meticulous with how you rev the engine if you want to hear that induction noise. Definitely a great sound though. We'll never get tired of that. And really there's no drone, there's no resonation issues. It knows how to be quiet, but when you want to step on it and put it through its paces, it can do that just fine. You can also shift it manually here. So just pop it into low gear and you can shift it manually. It's so good. So far you can definitely tell that it's quiet, but there's still some grumble from that air intake. Around town in traffic like this, the mirrors, you have bug-eye mirrors in the top on the driver's side and in the bottom on the driver's side as well as the passenger side. But these mirrors, Chevrolet has always had smaller than usual mirrors for their trucks, and I really wish that they made them wider and larger. You could probably throw some aftermarket heavy-duty mirrors on this. It sounds so grisly and gnarly. It's such a boastful noise. It sounds so good. It doesn't really have that traditional noise that a 5.3 does, but you can still hear that transmission whine. It's kind of the signature of what makes this truck what it is. You can hear it a little bit. The transmission behaves well in town, but if you want to kick it down, especially on the highway, as you probably already saw, there's some hesitation. It's clunky at times, hesitates, doesn't really know what gear to be in when you deliver immediate power and throttle response. But around town like this, there's a little bit of jolt right there. But right now, it's behaving nicely. Good 6L80E. Good. It's such a nice noise. seems to kind of idle a little bit rough. I'm getting a lot of vibration when I'm sitting at idle in the seat and the pedals. Well, obviously we don't have any engine lights, and this truck was thoroughly inspected by Yark. It's probably because of the airflow coming from that cold air intake. It kind of disrupts the normal airflow that these have from the factory. Not as bumpy on this street, even though it looks to be a bumpier street, but you're still getting a lot of road input through the tires, which is good, but definitely less bumpy. I will never understand why people put low profile rubber bands on a truck, but to each their own. In 3, 2, 1, power. Little bit of hesitation there. Kickdown was kind of slow. Hesitant, and it finally realized that it needed to kick down a couple gears. Good power delivery though, nice noise, but there's hesitation. Interesting indeed. But overall, this truck is just an example of how a truck is supposed to be used. It doesn't matter if you have a $70,000 truck. It doesn't matter if it's a sports-oriented truck. A truck is a truck. And if you're gonna buy a pickup, in the case of the previous owner that had this, they used it for what it was built for. They put it to its paces, and that's exactly how a truck should be used. So you gotta give credit where credit is due, because this is still a really well-equipped vehicle. Definitely a cool machine nonetheless. As always, at Yark Automotive Group, be sure to check us out at yarkauto.com. Yark Automotive Group, your one-stop shop where you can find hundreds of certified, pre-owned, used, and new vehicles. At Yark Automotive, we've got just what you're looking for.